The year is 9 AD. The world is changing, and the Roman Empire stands at the height of its power, its legions feared across continents. A massive column of Roman soldiers, thousands strong, marches into the heart of the Teutoburg Forest in Germania, their armor clinking in the morning chill. For the 17th, 18th, and 19th legions, this was supposed to be routine, a show of force, a simple march to remind the tribes who ruled these lands. Their armor gleamed, red cloaks, bright against the endless green, a living river of discipline and order flowing through the wild. They were confident. Rome had conquered most of the known world, and its soldiers believed themselves invincible, their banners symbols of unstoppable might. Their leader, Varus, trusted his guide, Arminius, a Germanic prince who seemed loyal, a man who had fought beside Romans and learned their ways. Arminius warned of a minor rebellion, urging a detour off the safe roads, insisting that swift action would crush any resistance before it could spread. The Romans, with families and supply wagons in tow, followed him into the winding muddy tracks, their column snaking deeper into the unknown. The column stretched for miles, vulnerable and slow, its length making it impossible to communicate or regroup quickly if danger struck. The forest closed in, thick trees, perpetual twilight, relentless autumn rain turning the ground to slippery mud and chilling the men to the bone. Roman formations were useless here. The soldiers grew anxious, their discipline fraying as the forest pressed in from all sides. Every sound became a threat. The snap of a twig, the rustle of leaves, each noise set nerves on edge. They believed Germania was pacified, the tribes tamed, and that no real danger lurked in these woods. The forest was just an inconvenience, or so they thought, a barrier to be crossed, not a threat to be feared, but this arrogance blinded them to the danger. Their faith in Roman superiority dulled their senses to the warning signs all around. The Romans had no idea they were marching straight into a trap, their fate sealed by their own overconfidence. Their confidence was slowly washed away by rain and swallowed by shadows, each step forward taking them further from safety. This was more than a military operation. It was a display of Roman power and a fatal miscalculation that would echo through history. The forest was waiting, ancient and silent, and it was not on their side. To truly grasp the shock of this monumental defeat, you need to delve into the depths of Rome's immense power and influence. Under the leadership of Emperor Augustus, Rome reached its zenith, conquering vast territories like Gaul and Egypt, and ruling expansively from the far reaches of Syria to the distant lands of Spain. The legions were not just soldiers, they were a professional, disciplined force, seemingly invincible and unmatched in their time. Augustus ambitiously aimed to extend the empire's border to the Elbe River, believing it would make the empire more defensible and secure. For years, Roman generals campaigned tirelessly in Germania, constructing forts and roads, forcing tribes into submission. Complete conquest seemed not just possible but inevitable. The Roman military was a well-oiled system, establishing nightly camps, deploying advanced siege engines, and maintaining a rigid command structure. Varus confidently marched with 3 legions, comprising about 20,000 people, including soldiers and support staff. While losing a battle was within the realm of possibility, losing an entire army was unthinkable and unprecedented. Rome's continuous string of victories bred a deep-seated sense of invincibility and overconfidence. They perceived the Germanic tribes as disorganized barbarians, believing them to be no match for the might and discipline of the Roman legions. This perception wasn't merely propaganda. It profoundly shaped their actions and strategies. They grossly underestimated the Germans' fierce desire for freedom and their intimate knowledge of the challenging terrain. This imperial hubris was Rome's critical flaw, a blind spot in their otherwise meticulous planning. The Romans entered the dense forest with the belief that they were the undisputed masters of the world. They were tragically blind to the disaster that was about to unfold, a storm brewing just beyond their sight. The once unstoppable machine of Rome was on the brink of a catastrophic breakdown. Rome was a centralized superpower, one emperor, one law, vast cities, and order. Germania was a patchwork of independent tribes, each with its own chief and council. The Germans lived in small villages, masters of their forests and swamps. Rome's challenge: how do you conquer people with no central government? In Gaul, Caesar could defeat coalitions. In Germania, resistance was endless. The Germans' decentralized structure made them resilient. Roman attempts to impose order met constant resistance. The Germans didn't want Roman roads or laws, they wanted freedom. The Romans saw them as disorganized, but their flexibility was their strength. The tribes knew every path and ravine, moving swiftly through terrain that crippled the legions. Rome's power relied on open-field battles. The Germans chose a battlefield where that meant nothing. The forest would turn Roman strength into fatal weakness. The stage was set for disaster. Arminius, the mastermind, was no ordinary barbarian. Raised by Romans, trained as an officer, he earned their trust and citizenship. Secretly, he united rival Germanic tribes, forging a coalition to drive Rome out. Arminius knew Roman plans and Varus's weaknesses. He lured Varus with a false report of rebellion, steering the army into the forest. The chosen route was a narrow, muddy bottleneck, perfect for ambush. The Romans, stretched thin and unable to form up, walked straight into the kill zone. Arminius signaled his warriors. The trap was sprung. The man they trusted most was now their greatest enemy. The legions were surrounded, oblivious to the danger until it was too late. The attack began suddenly, as a violent storm raged overhead, thunder echoing through the ancient trees and rain lashing the forest floor. War cries erupted from the shadowy woods, javelins and arrows rained down in a deadly chaotic barrage, catching the Romans completely by surprise. Germanic warriors struck with ferocity, then melted away into the trees, vanishing like ghosts before the Romans could retaliate. The Romans, caught off guard and disoriented, couldn't form their famous shield formations, their discipline crumbling in the confusion. Mud and chaos split the long column into isolated pockets, leaving small groups of legionnaires surrounded by dense, unfamiliar woods. Officers' desperate orders were lost in the howling storm and the screams of men, drowned out by the relentless noise. The world's greatest army was being dismantled piece by piece, its legendary cohesion shattered by the relentless ambush. As night fell, Varus tried to regroup his battered forces, building a makeshift camp in the dark, rain-soaked forest, hoping for a reprieve. But the damage was done. Heavy casualties, lost supplies, and shattered morale haunted the survivors as they huddled in the mud. The next day, desperate to escape the relentless attacks, they burned their own wagons to lighten their load and move faster through the mire. The Germans harried them relentlessly, launching ambush after ambush from the cover of the trees, using the terrain to their advantage at every turn. The psychological toll was immense. Fear and exhaustion etched into every Roman face as hope faded. The battle became a desperate three-day running fight for survival, with the Romans constantly under attack as they tried to escape. The Germans blocked the Romans' only escape route with a hastily built earthen wall, trapping them in a deadly snare. Trapped between swamp, wall, and relentless warriors, the Roman formation finally broke, panic spreading through the ranks. Discipline vanished. It was no longer a battle, but a slaughter, as the once mighty Roman army was overwhelmed and destroyed in the mud and rain. On the third day, the Roman army collapsed. Exhausted and starving, the legionaries broke into desperate groups. Germans fought with captured Roman weapons, an ultimate humiliation. Varus and his officers took their own lives rather than be captured. With leadership gone, discipline vanished. The survivors were hunted down. Few escaped. Non-combatants were killed or enslaved. The Germans took the legionary eagles, symbols of Rome's honor. Arminius had captured not just an army, but its soul. The dead were left to rot. Officers sacrificed to Germanic gods. Years later, Romans found fields of bones and grim altars. Arminius's triumph was short-lived. He was later assassinated by his own people. He saved Germania from Rome, but not from its own divisions. The forest claimed both victors and vanquished. News of the disaster devastated Rome. Emperor Augustus was shattered, crying out for his lost legions. The 17th, 18th, and 19th legions were never reformed, their numbers erased forever. Panic gripped Rome. Fears of a German invasion soared. Augustus sent Tiberius to stabilize the frontier. The dream of conquering Germania died in the forest. Rome pulled back to the Rhine, building a permanent fortified border. For centuries, the Rhine separated Rome from free Germania. Germanicus led punitive expeditions, recovering 2 lost eagles, but conquest was abandoned. The cost was too high. The forest had won. The disaster ended Roman expansion in northern Europe. Rome shifted from offense to defense, building massive fortifications. The Teutoburg Forest became a permanent scar on the empire. The Battle of Teutoburg Forest shaped Europe's future. Rome's defeat meant most of Germany was never Romanized. West of the Rhine, Latin languages and Roman culture flourished. East, Germanic traditions endured. This battle created a cultural fault line that still exists today. The image of the free Germanic warrior became a powerful myth, fueling later nationalism. Arminius, Hermann, became a symbol of unity and resistance. Teutoburg is a lesson in the limits of empire. Rome's system failed against local knowledge and fierce determination. The forest itself became a character in history, a reminder that even the mightiest can fall. Sometimes, a landscape and a few determined people can change the world forever.